Hey folks, what's up? Welcome to the latest episode of Monday Musings, which is my personal space where I just vlog about things here on YouTube about life, shows, movies, books, pop culture, nerd stuff, what Chris and I are up to, a little bit about the Weave in the Void projects, and so on and so forth. We're into 2022 now, rolling right ahead, and the past week since I did last week's episode has been just packed with some crazy stuff, which we're going to get into today. So let's get going. As usual, I'm pre-recording this on Sunday, February 20th at 4:30 p.m. Don't let that confuse you. These episodes come out at 7 a.m. Monday morning, and it's a place where if you want to get to know me a little bit better beyond the videos that I produce for YouTube. Cool. So first and foremost, we have had a ton of new people. I hit YouTube Partner a few days ago. I don't even know what day it was. I haven't slept much last week because it's just been sort of a roller coaster of all these new people coming in. I've been literally getting more than 1,000 comments a day on YouTube because of the videos that I've been doing around the Rings of Power show, and tens of thousands of views on the videos. And we have, I think, in about 20 minutes we're going to cross 1,000 new followers in like the past 8 days. So to say that it has been a crazy week, it has been a crazy week. It's been great, but I have literally been just going crazy balls to the walls to stay up to date with everybody, and doing lots of streaming and everything else. So, to all the new people, welcome. There's obviously a lot going on at this channel beyond the Lord of the Rings videos. Um, One of the things that we're going to be doing soon, I don't know exactly when, I might wait till after the move. I haven't decided yet because Chris and I are moving in a few weeks. And there will be some downtime there where I won't be streaming. I'm going to be pre-programming a bunch of videos to come out while we're in the middle of that process. We're hoping we don't have to wait too long for the internet to get installed at the new place. Chris is traveling in a couple of weeks to start to get all that stuff prepped, and it just kind of depends on whether they say 10 to 15 days to get things installed, so it kind of depends on whether they're ahead of the 10 days or at the 15 day or slightly after mark. But it's a small place where we're going, a small town, so it might not be an issue. We'll see. In any case, um, it has been crazy. Welcome all the new people. There's lots of stuff going on here. This is one of the things that happens every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. So hopefully you enjoy. We usually do about 30 minutes. We'll see how far we go today. So obviously the Lord of the Rings or the Rings of Power videos have been off the charts. Definitely have more of those coming out. It's an interesting thing because I think it was about 2 months ago when people started to ask me, "Hey, are you ever going to do another Diary of an Indie Game Dev series or another Mondays in MMORPGs show where you do discussions around various points?" And I was like, you know what? I did 3 seasons of Mondays in MMORPGs. I don't feel like I need to do another season, especially because I'm not actively developing an MMORPG at this point in time. So a lot of what I was covering in that show was me for 7 years being hands-on as the creative director and founder of a game studio making an MMORPG. And now that we're doing tabletop and point and click and other stuff, my priorities have shifted in terms of what I'm working on in the game dev space. Um, but I do still love MMORPGs and I still play MMORPGs. So one of the things that I spun up as a couple months ago was the new MMORPG analysis series. And I do about one episode a week, sometimes a little less frequently than that. But the idea is that I go into various games that I love or various games that are coming up, and we talk about things in that. So, moving to those types of discussions, I also started doing book reviews at the end of last year because I got a Kindle Paperwhite finally. And then I started doing reviews of shows at the beginning of this year. I think maybe around December or so. I forget what was the first show I reviewed. Um, oh, we did the Wheel of Time. I did the Wheel of Time show, and then I did like Midnight Mass. I did the second season of Love, Death, and Robots. So I started doing a few, some show reviews, and that just naturally progressed to me wanting to talk about the upcoming Lord of the Rings show, The Rings of Power. Now, previously, I have been discussing this show on the Looking for More podcast vodcast that I do every Thursday afternoon at 5 p.m. Central with Simmerg and the Nathan Napalm over on Simmerg's Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/Simmerg. If you want to tune in live to hear us talk about all things nerd, games, and etc., Thursdays, 5 p.m. on Simmerg's Twitch channel. And we have been talking about the Rings of Power show for quite some time because we've all been really hyped to see the Second Age. I did a video about the trailer, not the trailer, but the panel, the logo video that they showed, the Rings of Power logo, and how they made that opening sequence. And I love the fact that it was all practical effects, and I had high hopes for what I thought I was going to see in the upcoming trailer and the upcoming show. And then that Vanity Fair piece dropped, and I was immediately shattered. And I realized that they were going to do to Tolkien what they had done to the Wheel of Time with that travesty of a show. Only what they're doing with the Rings of Power is 10 times worse. And so I just felt compelled to talk about that in a video. And so I did that very first video on, you know, Tolkien showrunners, Rings of Power showrunners say that they're going to write the novel that Tolkien never did. And that video went viral. Now, I've had videos go viral for clients before, but my own channel here has always been my personal space where I just talk about stuff. And I've got fans that came over and followed me from the Saga of Leucemia. And we've got people who are in our gaming community, but it's always been just a very small space, my YouTube channel, for me and Chris and our friends that we play games with, and the people who are interested in the point and click game that we're building, and the fans who have bought all my books before, and like I said, followed us over from Saga. Um, so I have a very, generalized expectation of how my videos are going to perform and everything else. And so I made that video thinking it was going to do X, and then it did Y, and then it did Z, and then it went off into the stratosphere. And so then I was like, well, it did well. Why not see if I can continue that traction? And so I did a couple of experiments, and I've now pushed out like I think like six, five or six, somewhere in there, videos over the past week, and every single one of them has done very well. So, using that as a sign, I will obviously produce some more content around the Rings of Power, but bear in mind that my show, or my channel, I should say, is not dedicated to the Rings of Power. That was a happenstance thing, and while I'm happy to continue talking about it as long as there are things that I feel like I can bring to the table in terms of discussion, I'm not just going to continue to talk about that show ad infinitum forever because my channel has always been variety. So, for example, we have this show. I started the Tim's Tabletop Tips last week from our sessions doing D&D on Sunday nights with our Weave and Void crew over on the Weave and the Void Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/Weave and Void every Sunday night, 9 p.m. We have our crew over there. What is the Weave and the Void? The Weave and the Void is the world behind me for the new people. If you want to know more about that, we have a Patreon page, patreon.com/Wandering Hermits. That's a 5th edition world. It's a point and click adventure game. And we're going to be talking about that more at the end of this show. We always do every week. So if you're confused about what we're talking about. So I started that show last week. I've got the point and clicks classic series that I started at the beginning of the year. And we've done a few episodes covering point and click games. Um, uh, the Dig. We've done the Dig from LucasArts. We've done Quest for Glory 1 from Sierra. We've done, I forget all the ones we've done. Oh, we did Gabriel Knight Sins of the Fathers from Sierra, and we're back doing another LucasArts game right now. I'm currently playing through Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. So those are a couple of examples of things that I do here. I'm also in the middle of rereading the Chronicles of Amber by Roger Zelazny, and the 4th review for that just went up this past week, and I'm in the middle of reading the 5th book in that cycle right now. And so I do book reviews, and I'm currently watching by myself, not watching anything with Chris right now, but I'm finishing up the most recent season of Cobra Kai. I will have a review of that coming up soon. I'm also going to review, Chris and I recently watched the 2nd season of Lock and Key. I'm going to review that here on my YouTube channel. We're playing Lord of the Rings Online a few times a week. Chris and I are streaming that in the mornings, and then I play with the guild, with Ken, at nights. We have the Lord of the Rings Online cooking show here, although I haven't done any episodes of that in a long time. The point I'm trying to make is that I do a lot of things. I also have the Is It Worth It series where I take video games that I play and ask my community, is it worth it? Do you want to play those games? Next up is going to be Bard's Tale 4. I've also got, I'm playing right now, I just started playing Alien Fire Team, Fire Strike Team, something like that, on the Xbox. And so I'll have a review of that coming up. So lots of things happen here at YouTube. So for those of you who showed up for the Rings of Power stuff, I'll definitely continue to talk about that, but there's going to be lots of other stuff. And hopefully, you're interested enough in who I am as an individual that you stick around and watch all of these other things and interact with the community. Join our Discord. Links are down below. We have lots of fun stuff that happens there as well. We got some great people in that community. Folks like Liam's Lyceum, who I'm always going to promote because he does great book reviews and he's been a supporter of mine since first buying T-shirts for the Saga of Lucemia back in 2014, him and his brother. So I'm always gonna give a shout out to him and promote his YouTube channel, Liam's Lyceum. Once again, that's his YouTube channel where he does book reviews. Um, so yeah, it's we've got a great community. Hopefully you'll hang out with us in Discord as well and go above and beyond just the Rings of Power videos. But in any case, excuse me, I do have some at least two more videos coming out in the near future. This week I will do Around the Rings of Power. I want to talk about the difference between Tom Shippey and Mariana and what a real Tolkien scholar looks like compared to a diversity coach who happens to like using Tolkien's work for her masters and ripping it apart and talking about what a misogynist Tolkien was and how his works were problematic. And we're going to be diving into that this week for sure. And there's some more stuff coming out there, but again, lots of other things. Um, I should just depending on my schedule this week. I'd like to get the fifth Amber book read this week, but I'm not sure. I actually haven't read in a couple of days because I pounded through books 3 and 4, and I took a few days off of reading right now, so we'll see where I get to that. Let's see here. Next up this week, trying to think of things I know I can confirm. Thursday, what is it? Chapter 13, I believe, comes out for The Weave in the Void. I'm in the middle of writing that right now. So that's going to be out on Patreon. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about The Weave in the Void for those of you who might be new here. If you've been here a while, you know what we're talking about. You know everything. So you can skip ahead a little bit if you want to, folks. Man, I kind of might need a haircut. Looking there in the back, I'm starting to get a mullet. You know, we'll see. Um, Chapter 13 is coming out. Last week was me just working on the module Escape from Parathana and getting all of the. One of the things I had to go do is I had to go back to the emails from uh, last late September and get all the histories and backstories from our playtesters for the characters that they played during the playtesting. And those individuals all got put into the campaign module, Escape from Parthana, as NPCs who are offering quests to players in the city of Parthana doing part 2 of the campaign. And I took the backstories everybody wrote and I've used those to create the quest line. So as an example, for those of you who remember, Liam's character, he was missing for a week because he was sick one week, and so he said for roleplay purposes, his character had an ex-girlfriend who needed some help in the city, and so he went off and helped her while his character was AFK basically. And I used that as a springboard and created a quest line about his ex-girlfriend needing help and him hiring the adventurers to help with the task that she has. So there's a little side quest there. Ragalorm and Haldren, the Haldren the half elf and Ragalorm the human. Ragalorm being a paladin in the Church of the Elder Ways, and his brother being a half elf and thus ostracized from the church. They had a backstory that they had written together, real life brothers, by the way, who had written this complex backstory revolving around their mother being killed years ago, and etc. So I took that as a springboard and said, cool, we're going to have the killer be the quest. Like the half elf brother has tracked down the mother's killer and he wants to get his paladin brother involved and he wants the adventurers to help him track down and take care of this individual. So I've been incorporating last week, that was me working on incorporating all of the backstories from our playtesters into the adventure module. I haven't finished all the quest writing yet, but I've got all of those characters in. I've gotten some of the quests written. Um, this later this week, I'll be working on finishing those because I do have to wrap all that up. The goal is to wrap those up at the end of February. Um, I am behind schedule on getting all of the encounters put in. And I blame YouTube for that because I was supposed to get all of the encounter stuff done as well, but because YouTube has blown up the last week, I have been spending about 6 hours a day answering YouTube comments and making sure that the channel is doing well. So that has taken a little bit of time away, but I will get back around to that and get that balanced out this upcoming week. As we're getting into this week, but it's one of the situations where you got to make hay when the sun shines, and as we all know, these spikes of interest eventually taper off. So I'm just going to take advantage of what we're hearing. So I'm a little bit behind on um, the encounter section, but that's a secondary component anyway. That's less about the secondary draft and more about the maps, which have been done for months anyway. Um, then today I started working on chapter 13. That'll be out on Thursday, for those of you who want to work on that. So at this point, if you don't know about the Weave in the Void, I'm going to take a little bit of a step back now and say, well, the Weave in the Void is a multi-part project that I'm working on with my brother and my wife, and we just recently brought on the Nathan Napalm to work with us doing some additional character art. So the first part is the world, which is the map behind me. Um, this is the world of the Weave in the Void, and this world is a high fantasy realm. Um, if you go back from March of 2021 up until October of 2021, it was called Project Drammond. That was the code name. And here on my personal YouTube channel, you will find a playlist called Project Drammond. And you can go back and watch there's like 105 videos in that playlist of documentation over that like 8 or 9 month period where my brother and my wife and I would sit down and brainstorm and recorded everything in the public for everyone. There's videos on all sorts of different things related to the storyline, the creation of the maps. I did map building sessions in Incarnate. We did a whole bunch of crazy stuff, documenting that whole process as well as publishing 3 updates a week on our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/the Wandering Hermits. The three of us being the Wandering Hermits, which is the LLC that houses the production of the World of Weave in the Void, but we're producing everything through our Patreon page. So it's a 5th edition setting. So we have a 5th edition source book, a supplemental source book, and the first campaign module, which are coming out in phones beeping. I had to see what that was. Those books are coming out in Q2 of 2022. So May or June is the estimated timeline for those to come out. I've been handling all the writing, all the design, everything for those books. Chris does all the artwork to date, and then we just, like I said earlier, brought on the Nathan Napalm to do some character artwork for us for like the classes and races and so on and so forth. So those books will be out summertime. It's also that's the setting, of course. Within that setting, we're also writing a brand new series of books. Right now, we're working on the first novel. If you've ever read Dragonlance, it's very much that style. We're working with an omniscient third-person POV, so we're going into the heads of all the characters, very much like what they did in Dragonlance and some of the Forgotten Realms novels as well. Chris is doing all the chapter artwork. That's all in black and white. So if you like the Dragonlance novels, then you're probably going to like this. And we publish those chapters twice a month on Patreon at the base tier, which is $3 a month. You get in, you get access to those posts, you get access to concept art stuff, a whole bunch of other teasers. There's a lot of stuff at the $3 tier. There's also an $8 tier, which gets you lore snippets. When I do updates on the outline, you get to see the outlines. You get to look at all the work that goes into creating the novel itself. And then there is and also at the $8 tier, at a certain point after you've subbed for, I can't remember, it's a couple months, 3 months or something like that. Check the tier itself. Don't quote me on that. You then get a copy of the digital book when it's finally compiled outside of Patreon. Then there's the $15 a month tier, which is what we call the Dungeon Master tier, which is everything related to the tabletop books. So at the $15 a month tier, after you subscribe for 4 months, I believe it is, you get a copy of the source book, a copy of the first campaign module, Escape from Parthana, and all of the map packs, which we've already published the first 2 map packs on Patreon. And the books are due out here in a few months. Then there's the $25 a month tier, which is everything related to the adventure game that we're building, which is the third part. It's a point and click game like the old Quest for Glory and King's Quest games. My brother's doing all of the heavy lifting on that in Unreal, and I'm just handling co-designing and doing all the writing for that project. So it's those three things together. You can obviously get in, pre-order all this other stuff. There's a free demo of the point and click game if you want to play that. All that can be found patreon.com/wandering hermits. And of course, over on our Discord, links are down below. It's the Wandering Hermits Discord, and there's the first section is like the general chat and our chat related to like Lotro and EverQuest 2 and games that we play together with our community. And then the whole bottom section is related to the Weave in the Void, and there's sections for the tabletop, for Christina's artwork, for the point and click game, all the other stuff. So if you like that kind of stuff, make sure to check out the Discord because there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens over there. And then everybody who's a patron gets access to a private Patreon section, or excuse me, a private patron section of Discord where we do additional snippets. We just did a preview of the book covers last week. We don't post there every single day. That's more of an infrequent thing. We do often previews of what's being posted in Patreon posts and stuff. But there's a lot going on with the Weave in the Void. So again, if you want to know more about that, go over to the Patreon page. Feel free to ask questions here on YouTube, ask questions in Discord. Schedule right now is, like I said, the tabletop books, the first two books, the source book and the first campaign module are due out in May or June. And then the point and click game will be coming out later this year. We're aiming for the winter holiday season. And right now on the Twitch channel for the Weave in the Void, we've been playing Dungeons and Dragons with some of our community members. We've got Simmerg, the Nathan Napalm, Bounty Code, Sparrow, and of course my wife and my brother and I. Using Fantasy Grounds as our VTT program, virtual tabletop program, to learn that system. And to learn that system, we started with the first base campaign for Dungeons and Dragons so that we can learn how to use their program. We're about to wrap that up in March. Then we're transitioning over to doing some tabletop and incarnate and miniature painting and stuff as we wrap up the final touches on our campaign books. And then the same time, as soon as we launch our campaign books in May or June, as soon as that all launches to the public, that same crew of Dungeons and Dragons players, that same crew of streamers, are then going to transition into the Weave in the Void campaign, which is us live streaming the Escape from Parthana module and continuing on beyond that as we use our world and our homebrew setting for an official live stream campaign on our Twitch channel, which will be happening once a week. And that is a campaign where we're going to be going on for at least a year, if not longer. We're just going to be going until we're done, which might take a while. We're definitely looking at what Critical Role did with doing like 115 plus episodes in their first season. We're using that as our base model of what we're doing as well. So if you like that kind of stuff, then you'll want to make sure to, like I said, go to the Patreon page for the Weave in the Void. It's patreon.com/wandering hermits. All the links to the Weave in the Void stuff are there. Everything in our Discord points to it. You'll get links all over the place, and you can follow and find out more information, pre-order all the products, subscribe, all those good things. And that's an overview of everything related to this project. Let's talk about the move a little bit more. So we are going to be moving here in a few weeks. Just to give everybody a timeline, let me open up my calendar here. Our last day here is the 14th, I think. So we're going to be, winding down through the first couple of weeks of March. And then at some point, we will be continuing to stream up until the last possible moment because Chris and I do streams 2 or 3 times a week. And then I stream Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturday nights regularly with our Lord of the Rings Online community. And then I often do morning streams, as you've seen, my Games Has Coffee streams, which are sort of a new thing. But with all the new people, I wanted to see if it was of interest, and it appears to have been doing well. So I'm going to keep doing those. But at some point in early March, probably the 10th or the 11th, I'm not sure which day yet, the 10th or 11th of March, we will be getting the internet here disconnected, and then spending our last few days here just making sure we get the place cleaned. And we've been here for 4 years, and we've been renting a fully furnished apartment. But anybody's ever rented knows that your last few days you just gotta clean everything profusely and do a deep clean and argue with the landlord about deposits and stuff. So uh, that's what we're going to be doing. And then we're going to be moving. Now, Chris is going to be traveling in early March to go out there and start to get the processes started to get all of our internet and utilities and everything signed up and switched over. So we're not sure how much downtime there's going to be. And everything else. Plus, we haven't yet confirmed like all of the internet details. Like we kind of think we know what the speed's going to be, but I'll have to wait till we get there to see because it's not the city. Here I've got a 200 up, 200 down symmetrical connection. It is not that out there. We've been told what it is, and it's more than if it is what they say it is, then it's more than enough for me to continue doing all the things I have been doing without any interruptions. We're about to see when we get out there, so there will be some little bit of no streaming. I'm anticipating about 2 weeks of no streaming because of the fact that we have to disconnect the internet here, spend a few days getting everything cleaned, then we have to move, and then like the first week we're there is all about going out and getting, a fridge and a bed and everything else because we've been living in a fully furnished apartment for years. I've been living in fully furnished places for like 15 years. And the whole time Chris and I have been together, which has been how many years? 12 years, something like that. Um, do you even know? It's been 12 years now, hasn't it? Yeah. Anyway, fully furnished means we don't have all of our own stuff, so we actually have to get all that stuff. So that's the first week that we get there, the week of the 15th, is just going out and getting all that stuff purchased, delivered to the house, installed, set up. We got to get desks. Um, yeah, I mean, it's essentially we're finally getting our own place for the first time. So we're going from being renters to being homeowners, and that means we have to actually furnish the new house. So that's the first week, and then the second week that we're there is theoretically the internet's either going to get installed the end of that first week or during that second week. So that's what we're going to be doing the week of the 15th, and then through that week of the 25th and stuff. So I don't anticipate streaming those two weeks, but I think we'll be back to streaming the last week of March. So there'll probably be, it could be as many as 3 weeks. It'll definitely be 2 weeks with no streams, possibly as many as 3 weeks. But I am in the process already of right now as I'm prepping videos to be going out every 2 days so that even while we're offline and moving and doing all that stuff, there's still going to be video content coming out every 2 days for that entire duration. So you'll still have plenty of content to enjoy from me, just no live streams for a while. And I'll be doing lots of YouTube shorts to keep everybody entertained with our moving process and getting settled into the new place and everything else. So if you like that kind of stuff, you'll want to continue to stay tuned to YouTube shorts. I usually dual post on YouTube and TikTok, so if you have a preference for TikTok, I do have a link somewhere in the description down below if you want to go follow my TikTok channel. I do a lot more Spanish content on my TikTok channel because the algorithm for Spanish is based on location. So because it pings off of um, Mexico and everything else, I do more Spanish stuff on TikTok, and everything I do on YouTube is all English. So if you speak Spanish and you want more of the Spanish type stuff, you can go over there because we do a little bit of both. In any case, that is the rough schedule, rough plans for March. I'll keep everybody up to date if anything changes, but that is looking like the schedule for coming up through mid-March. But for all the new people who are here and everybody else, just to keep you apprised of everything else, we are going to be changing locations shortly. I'm excited. I can get a cat finally. Chris is looking at me like, meh. She's okay with cats. She's not a big. She would prefer to have a dog. I told her we could get both, as long as they're not one of her sister's dogs, because they're ugly. Your sister's not gonna watch this. I'm safe. Anyway, yeah, that's the long and short version for today's Monday Musings. We're at 30 minutes in right now, so that's good enough for today. Again, thanks to all the new folks. Thanks for helping us get partner here on YouTube. It's been a pretty exciting week. Stay tuned for lots more stuff. If you got questions, drop them down below. Hopefully, we'll see you over in Discord. And hopefully, we'll see some of you over on Patreon as well, supporting the channel and diving into the books and everything else that's available over there and getting your hands on that free demo for the point and click game. Thanks, everybody. See you next week. Peace.